Hello friends, welcome to the 56th session of Hybris tutorial. In this session, guys, we are going to discuss the Hybris user management. So guys, in this video, we are going to discuss the various topics related to the Hybris user management. Guys, we are going to discuss what are users in Hybris, what are employees in Hybris, what are customers in Hybris. So we are going to discuss what is the relation between the employees and users, what is the relation between the customers and users, and then guys, we are going to discuss what is user group in the Hybris and how we can create a new employee, new customer, or a new user group in Hybris. We are going to discuss all these topics. Then guys, we will also discuss the relation between the user group and customers. Similarly, we will discuss what is the relation between the user group and employees. Guys, in the later part of this video, we will discuss what are the user restrictions we have, and in the end of the video, we will discuss the various user permissions which we can implement in Hybris. So guys, this is a complete video on the user management, and we will discuss all the topics related to the user management in very deep. So this video is going to be very informative for you. And guys, I have already uploaded the notes of this video on the Google Drive and have shared the link in the comment section of this video. So you can just click on the link given in the comment section of this video and you can download the notes related to this video. So guys, the first topic is what are users in Hybris? So basically guys, users are entities which actually perform some operation in application. So this is the definition of the users. Then the next question is how many types of users we have in Hybris. So next question is how many types of users we can have in Hybris. We can have in Hybris. So guys, we can have either the employee or we can have either the customer as a user. I will show you in the code as well why I am saying that there are two type of users in Hybris. One is employee and second one is customer. Guys, if we see this in the back office, I am opening the back office, and if I just go to the user tab, if I just go to the user navigation node, so you can see here we have the user and here we have employees and customers. So these are the two type of users we have basically, right? So now what is employee in Hybris and what is customer in Hybris? So after discussing the definition of employees and customer, we will see how these item types are looking in Hybris. So basically employees in Hybris employees in Hybris is the one who manages the application, which means they perform admin related activities, right? So if I just try to explain this in a very simple terms, we have a website, right? And we need to set up some promotions on multiple website. We have seen some type of promotions, maybe like buy two get two, right? So this promotion is set in the Hybris. So there must be someone who is actually setting up these type of promotions in the backend. So the person who sets these type of promotion in the backend is basically the employee who is doing all these type of operations. Other example is maybe we see multiple red prices or the sale prices on the website. For example, the full price of a product is right like £100, and we are seeing the discounted price as £50. So it means £50 is the red price of that product. So it means there is some activity which happened in the backend. Because of that, there is a discount price we are able to see on the website. So that discount price or the red price is uploaded by someone from the backend who is basically the admin, right? So that person is the employee actually. So this is the employee. I hope you understand the definition of the employee, right? Employee can have multiple roles. Maybe one employee can be admin who has the complete or full access to the system. There can be some employees who have partial access to the system. Maybe some employees can be like admin read only. Those can just see the system in the backend, like they can see just the details of any item type. Maybe they can just see the orders, but they cannot do any changes or modifications in the system. So those are admin read only employees. Similarly, we can have a product merchandiser, right? CS agent. So it means there can be employee with different type of roles, right? So now the next is what are customers in Hybris. So customer is basically the one who actually purchase or who actually does the purchase on the website. So that is the customer entity in the Hybris, right? For example, we go on the Amazon website and we add some items into the cart, we navigate to the checkout page and place the order. So here we is the customer. So customer is basically the one who is actually placing the order. So I hope guys you are clear what is employee and what is customer, right? Now the next definition is user group. So we will see what is user group in Hybris. And guys, I have already explained in deep about these terms in the notes of this video. If you see here, we have defined everything in very deep. So you can just go through these notes as well. So this notes will be very helpful for you. So user groups in Hybris. So basically each user, so I told you user can be employee or customer. So each user, whether employee or customer, right, is assigned with one or more than one user group, right? For example, guys, if I say that one employee can have a user group, employee group, or admin group, I am saying that there is one employee who has full access to the hybrid system. Why he has a full access to the hybrid system? Because he has the admin group, admin user group associated with it. That is why that employee is able to access the full system. So it means user group is something which is basically enabling or which is basically powering the any user. If a user has an admin group, he will have the access to complete system of the Hybris, right? Now guys, we will see all these type of entities: user item type, employee item type, customer item type, user group item type in our code, how these item types are actually looking like, where these item types are defined. So guys, most of these item types are defined in our code in core item.xml file. If I just open the core item.xml file, right, this is present in the platform extension. You will see here we will have defined the multiple item types, right? So if I just show you the user item type, you will see we have a user item type, right? So we have the user item type over here, As you can see clearly over here, this is the user item type, which is extending the principal item type. So I can safely write over here, we have a user item type. We have user item type in the core item.xml, right, which is extending the principal item type. This is extending the principal item type, right? Don't worry about the principal item type. It is also another item type, and we can see this principal item type as well in our items.xml file. Then guys, we will see how the user item type, or where we are extending the user item type. If I just try to search for the employees and customer, because I told you that we can have two type of user, either we can have employee or we can have a customer, right? So if I just go to the code and if I just try to search item type, right, code is equal to employee, right? So you can see guys, here we have defined the employee item type. If you carefully see over here, this employee item type is extending the user item type, right? So that is why we were calling that employee is a subtype of user item type, right? Similarly guys, over here you can see this is the customer item type defined over here, and this is also extending the user item type, right? So it means guys, we can safely write over here, user item type is extending the principal item type, right? And employee or customer, right, this is extending the user item type. So employee and customer is extending the user item type, user is extending the principal item type, right? And then we will see that the principal item type, if I just see the principal, how the principal item type is looking like, if I just see item type code is equal to principal, so you can see this is the principal item type, right? Here, this principal item type is extending the generic item type, right? So we can write over here, principal item type is extending the generic item type. Guys, you should be aware of this hierarchy. This is asked in various interview questions, so you should be aware of this hierarchy. So this is extending the generic item type, right? So I hope guys, this hierarchy is clear to you, why I have written this hierarchy, right? Now, guys, there is one important topic. If you see carefully this principal item type, here we have very important attribute. We have defined UID. So this UID, because this UID is defined at the principal item type, and we are saying that principal type item type is extended by the user, and user item type is extended by the employee and customer. So this UID field is unique both for the employees and customers, right? So this UID is a unique field. Here we will be defining the unique value of each employee and customer. So it means if a customer or an employee has one unique ID, that unique ID or that UID will not be present, or that UID will not be there for any other customer or for any other employee. So this topic or this concept is very important. So we can write over here that UID, which is defined at principal level, is unique parameter for employee or customer, and is a unique value, right? Unique value for each employee or customer. So guys, I hope this concept is clear to you. So now we have seen the user hierarchy, like employee and customer are extending the user item type, and then user is extending principal item type, principal is extending generic item type. Now we will see how these are looking in hybrid system. If we go in the back office, here you can see we have the multiple employees. I'm just clicking on this employee, right? And you can see here there are multiple employees. So some of the employees are already created by the Hybris out of box. So when we initialize the system at that time, these employees got created automatically. So these are the employees. If we just open any employee, you can see I am opening one employee, right? So we will see what are all are the details associated with it. So you can see this is the UID. So if I just hover over here, you can see this is the UID. So this is the unique thing. So if one employee or one customer have this UID will not be associated with any other employee or customer. So that is the thing we need to take care of, right? And this is the user group. Here you can see two user groups are associated. Don't worry about this. I will explain this user group in some time, but just remember this, for with this employee, this user group is associated. The one is the Nigeria, second is the sales manager. So these user groups are associated, right? So this is the employee item type. Similarly, if I go to the customers, so this is the customer item type. So here you can see there are multiple customers which are there in our system. Some of the customers are already created during the system initialization. If I open any customer, right? So if I open any customer, guys, you can see here also we have one field as a name and second field as a UID. So you must be aware that this UID attribute value is coming from the principal item type, because the customer item type is extending the user item type and user item type is extending the principal item type. That is why this UID value is coming over here. So I hope, guys, this important thing is clear to you. So it means if one customer has this UID will not be linked with any other customer or any other employee. So I hope, guys, this concept is clear to you. Just see over here as well. Here also we have the groups, right? So you can see here we have the possibility to add more than one group, right? So I will tell you in some time that we have many to many relation between every employee or every customer with the user group. But I will just explain this concept in some time. But just remember, there is a many to many relation between employee or user group or customer or user group. So that is the many to many relation, right? So this is about the users, which can be either employee or can be customer, right? Now we will discuss what is user group. So guys, if we carefully see in our code, if I just try to search for the item type user group, I'm just trying to search in the item.xml file, and you can see this is the user group item type, which is defined over here in the core item.xml file. And these all are the attributes which are defined in this item type, right? But guys, just carefully see over here, this user group is extending the principal group item type, right? So I can safely write over here the hierarchy is why we have the user group, right? Then this user group is extending the principal group item type. So this user group is extending the principal group item type, right? And if we see this principal group item type, right, just carefully see, this is not the principal item type, this is the principal group item type. In the customers, we had this user was extending the principal item type. So this is the principal group item type. If we carefully see how this principal group item type is looking like, if I just try to search this principal group item type, you can see this is the principal group item type, and these all are the attributes defined at the principal group level, right? But if you carefully see over here, you can see this principal group is also extending the principal item type, right? So I can safely write over here, principal group is also extending the principal item type, right? And of course, then we know that principal item type extends the generic item type, right? So I hope guys you are clear now how the hierarchy of user group looks like, what all comes in the hierarchy of user group. User group extends the principal group extends the principal item type, and principal item type extends the generic item type, right? And we are already aware that there is one field UID which is defined at the principal level, right? And since in the user group hierarchy also we have the principal, so it means so this UID is common for both employee, customer, and user group. I will show you in the back office how the user group is looking like. So you can see this is the user group. And here you can see guys, we have the multiple user groups. What are these user groups? Just carefully see, we have either employee or we can have either customer, right? So if I just see before showing you this thing, if I just open any employee, right? So I'm just taking this employee, for example. So this employee has these groups associated with it, right? So either it can have some other groups also associated. For example, I am associating the admin group with it, right? So it means we these groups are basically the different roles one employee can have. If we are saying this employee has the admin group only, so it means this is the admin or most powerful group. It will have all type of access. It will have access to back office, it will have access to PCM, it will have access to other cockpits as well. But if we are creating one employee with a particular access, for example, if I am creating an employee with the access say CS agent, right? So that and if I am creating this employee, then this employee will not have access to back office. He will not be able to access the back office, but he will be able to access CS cockpit. So CS cockpit is also another tool like the back office. You can just open the CS cockpit in this way. You just have to type over here CS cockpit. So that is another cockpit which Hybris provides us. So it means there are different cockpits and they have the different permissions. We can set different permissions for the users, that these users or these employees can access this cockpit, these employees can access this cockpit. Admin group will have access to all cockpits, but if we say that we need to create one employee who doesn't have access to say HSC or back office but has access to CS cockpit, then we can assign this user group to that employee. Similarly, there can be another user groups as well. For example, this product uh, management, right? He will have access to PCM cockpit only. So it means these are the different type of groups which gives the flexibility to Hybris to assign the different roles to employee or a customer. Similarly, if I open the customer, you can see if I am opening a customer, he will also have one user group assigned, which is called as a customer group. Because of this group only, he has a role of customer. He will have access rights related to the customer. So I hope guys user group concept is little bit clear to you. If we see now the user groups, what all type of user groups we have, which Hybris has provided us out of box. So you will see that in the user module only, we have the user groups. So you can see this is the user group we have, and all these are the guys user groups we have provided by the Hybris. So these are the different groups which will have a different powers, different roles. Admin group I have already told you. In the similar way, we have other groups as well which has a different access rights, right? So I hope guys this thing is clear to you, why what is the need of creating a user group. We will also see how we can create a new user group, and how we can assign a different role to to that user group. For example, if I have a requirement that I need to create one user group who is basically read only, right? He can see all the back office. Currently with my credentials, you can see I am basically able to change anything. I have the capacity to delete as well. But if I want to create one user group which if is assigned to any employee, he can only just see all these item type. He cannot delete this. If I have this type of requirement, then I have to create a custom user group or a new user group and have to give the custom access rights to that user group. We will discuss that part in the end of this video. So that's why this video is going to be very informative for you. So I hope guys till now you should be clear what is user group and where these user groups are basically used. These user groups are either used with the employee or it is used with a customer, right? So I told you in between that there is a many to many relation between every user group with employee or customer, right? So for example, this is a user group, right? For example, if we open the admin group, so this is the user group and this user group has this UID, right? We already know that this UID is defined at the principal level. So it means if this admin group UID is assigned to this user group, it cannot be assigned to any other employee, customer, or to any other user group. So I hope guys this is clear to you. And just remember this concept as well. This admin group is a member of this back office admin group. So here we have just created one hierarchy that this admin group will be basically inheriting the roles of these user groups, right? So when we will create a new user group, at that time also we will be telling that this our custom user group is basically a member of which user group. So just remember this concept as well. What is the member of concept, right? So I hope guys this is clear to you and how the hierarchy of user group is looking like, right? Now guys, we will discuss the relation between a user group and employee or customer, right? So what is the relation between user group with employee or customer? As I already told you, this is a many to many relation. So where this many to many relationship between the user group with employee or customer is defined. So guys, there is a one relationship, right? There is one relationship which is defined between the principal item type and principal group item type. If you carefully see over here, we have defined one relation. We have defined one relation, right? So you will see that we have one relation with the name. So you can see this is the relation, right? We have this relation, many to many relation between the principal item type and principal group item type, right? So that is why we are saying that there is many to many relation between a user can be employee or customer with the user group. It means we can safely say, it means guys, we can safely say that one employee, right? One employee can have multiple user groups. One employee can have multiple user group. Similarly, one user group can also be assigned to multiple employees, right? So I hope guys this concept is clear to you. Right now guys, the next topic is how we can create a new employee, how we can create a new customer, or how we can create a new custom user group. So we are going to discuss these three parts: how we can create a new custom user group, new custom employee, new customer. Right. So the first thing is how we can create a new, how we can create a new custom user group, right? So there can be two ways for creating a new custom user group. Either you can create this custom user group through the back office, right? You can just go to the back office, you can just go to the user group, right? Over here you can just create a new user group, right? You just have to give the ID, right? And then you just have to follow the next steps, like you have to give other attributes as well, right? The second way, or the second well approached or recommended way, is that you should create the new user group through the impex. So how that impex looks like? So guys, that impex will look like something like this. Here you can see I am just creating one impex, and impex insert update user group, right? So this is the user group we have already seen. This user group item type is defined in the core item.xml. This is the UID, right? Here I am just giving UID value is test user group, right? And this is the groups, right? So what is the associated group with it? So what is this group member of? So this group is a member of employee group, right? And this back office login disabled. So if we are setting its default value as false, so it means this group will be able to access the back office as well, right? So I am creating this user group in Hybris. So how we can create this user group? So I have to go to the HAC. So you can see I am in the HAC. I will log in with my credentials. Username is admin and password is nimda. And then I will go to the console impex import section, right? And then I will just paste the paste this impex over here. So I will just write over here like this. I will firstly do the validate content. So you can see I have validated it. Then I will just import this. So you can see I have just imported this impex. We can also check in the backend as well. You can see this import is successful, and this will be visible over here as well. And once this import is successful over here, then we will see in the back office whether the new user group has been created or not. As you can see, this user group name is test user group, right? So let's see whether the test user group is created or not. You can see guys, now the test user group has been created. If I just see this test user group over here, you can see this is the UID which we had defined in our impacts, and this test group is a member of the employee group, right? So it will basically, test group will basically inherit all the access rights related to the employee group as well. So I hope guys this concept is clear to you, what it means, how you can create a custom user group as well. Don't worry, we will explain you in the future part of this video how we can, give the different access rights to this test user group, how we can give it some specific values that this user group, say, this can access only product item type, or this can access only customer item type, and it cannot access any other item type. We can give those roles or access rights as well to this user group, which we are going to explain in some time, right? So I hope guys this is clear to you how we can create a new user group. Then guys, next question will be how we can create new a new customer, right? In the system. So guys, a new customer can be created just by directly going to the storefront or directly going to the website, and the user can just do the registration. So at that time we can create a new customer. So I hope this is pretty simple. It should be clear to you. We can create a new customer by just doing a new registration on the site. Then the next topic is how we can create a new employee, right? How we can create a new employee, right? So we will need to create new employees, right? Because tomorrow, like in your project or in your business, a new employee basically joins. So we need to give the credentials to that new employee with some access rights. For example, if a new employee joins in your development team, you need to give him admin rights. So it means you have to create a new employee with the rights as admin rights. But maybe a new employee joins, and he joins from the business, who would need to do work only on the product. So he doesn't need the admin rights. He needs to only see the products, or only need to do the changes on the products in the system. So it means then we will create a new employee who has access to view the PCM, product cockpit management. He doesn't need to access the back office. So we will create a new employee with the role specific to the product merchandiser only, right? So how we can create a new employee in Hybris? So the one way is we can just create new employee manually through the back office. So we can just click over here and we can create a new employee, right? Second or recommended way is if we have to create the bulk employees, right? Because there are always new joinees in the team. So if we have to create a bulk employees, we can create the bulk employees through the impex. So how the impex to create the bulk employees will look like? So guys, that impex will look like something like this. So this is the impex, which is basically to create a new employee in the system, right? So you can see guys here what I have done. I have just created a new employee and I'm giving its UID as this my test customer, right? And then I am just putting this password field as a blank, because I am just updating, or I am using the macro for giving the password for that employee, right? And then description is the test customer, right? This is the name, test user. And then guys, carefully see here, I am assigning a group, test user group, which we had recently created. So it means I am creating a new employee and I am giving this test user group with this employee. And of course then I am giving the language as English and session currency as US dollar. So I am just going to create this new employee, right? So I have to copy from here. Don't worry about these impexes. I have already given these impexes in the notes of this video, right? So you just have to click on the link which is given in the comment section of this video, and you can just download the notes. So I have already provided you all these impacts in the notes of this video, right? So I will just go to the impact section again and I will create a new employee, and then I will just do the validate content, and then I will do the import content. And you can see the import is successful now. You can see the import is successful now, and we will see the same message over here as well, right? So it means we have now created a new employee with the my test customer, right? New employee with the my test customer, UID value as my test customer. So we can just see over here in the employee section that whether a new employee with the UID value my test customer is created or not. So you can see this has been created, right? So guys, I hope this is clear to you. Here I have just assigned this new user group which we had recently created. So this is the user group we have assigned. So I hope guys this is clear to you. In case we have to create multiple employees, so we just have to add another row, something like this. So you can see I'm just adding another row, something like this, my test customer 1, test customer 1, and then test user 1. If you have want to assign it to another user group, you can definitely assign, but it is just like the creation of different employees, right? So you can give here the employee ID or email ID of one employee, email ID of another employee, and you can create different user access for different employees. So I hope guys this is clear to you how we can create the bulk employees in the hybrid system, right, through the impacts. So this is about guys users. User can be employee or user can be a customer. Then we discussed hierarchy of the user group, right? And then we discuss how we can create a new user group, how we can create a new employee, new customer, right? So guys, the next topic is how we can create restrictions in the Hybris, right? How we can create the user or user group restrictions, right? So we will discuss this topic, restrictions in Hybris, or we can write here user and user group restrictions. Right. So guys, if I just show you in the back office, then we will understand the definition of the restrictions as well. So if I just go to the types, right, so you can see I'm going to the types, and then I will just search for the search restriction item type. So I'm just searching for this search restriction item type. So you can see here we have this search restriction item type, right? And then guys, over here you can see, if I just see how many type of search restrictions which are already created over here. So you can see these all are the search restrictions which are already created on the different item types. So you can see these all are the search restrictions created on different item types. One restriction is created on price row, one restriction is created on discount, and it is created on category. So it is created on different you can say item types, right? So if we open any restriction, if we open say like this restriction, right, if we open any restriction and if we carefully see what is written inside this search restriction, so basically here we are saying that this restriction, this search restriction should apply on the customer group item type, right? So it means if there is one user, right, who is basically a customer, because only the customers has this user group, customer group, right? If there is one user who is a customer and if he access to this website, only then this search restriction will come into picture. What this search restriction will do, so this search restriction will be basically if that customer make a query on the product. So it means if he just try to search for one product on the website, right? So if he tries to search or make a query on the product, so this filter will automatically get appended into the in that query. So this is the meaning of this search restriction, right? So here we have what we have done, we have just created a search restriction, right? And this search restriction will be applicable only for the users having this user group, customer group, right? And when this will be applicable, when those users having the customer group will make a query on the product item type. How they can make a query on the product item type? For example, if they just search for that product on the website, then of course automatically in the backend a query on the product item type will be getting fired. So if they are making query like select star from product, then this where condition will get appended automatically. So it means query will become select star from product where catalog version is whatever the catalog versions are present in the session. So this is the meaning of this search restriction. So I hope this is clear to you. So it means if a query is getting fired, right, from the backend from anywhere on the product item type, but from the user who is basically having the customer group, this where condition will get appended automatically, right? So this is the meaning of search restriction. So here we are basically restricting the search. We are not giving all data on the data present in the product table. We are restricting the data for the customer having or for the users having the user group, customer group. We are restricting the data by appending a where clause in the query, right? So how we can create a search restriction, how this search restriction got created, right? So you can see this is activated as well. So how we can create, so this search restriction can be created through the impex. I will just give you some sample impexes, right? And then I will give you those sample impexes in the notes of this video as well, so you can then just try in your system as well. So how those search restrictions should look like. So I'm just pasting some of the search restrictions over here. So you can see I have just pasted one search restriction, right? So this is the one search restriction we have created. Then this is the second search restriction, right? Like this. So this is the second search restriction. So what is the search restriction is doing? Here I have just created a search restriction with the code value as customer for Hybris Tube. This is just the name of that search restriction, right? So I mean code of that, unique code of that search restriction, right? Then what is the name of that search restriction? Customer Hybris Tube restriction. For example, over here you can see this was the name, this was the name, right? And this is basically the code. So code over here in our case, code is the Customer Hybris Tube for the code which was here front end product. In the similar way, we have created a code customer for Hybris Tube. Name is basically because this is a language compatible attribute, right? So that is why because this is over here, you can see we can give the name in different languages. That's why I have mentioned that this basically name should be in the language en, right? And what is the name? Customer Hybris Tube restriction, right? And then here I am saying principal group, right? So this search restriction should be applied on which type of users? This search restriction should be applied on the users which is having the user group employee group. So it means we know that employee group is always used by the employees only, right? Not by the customers. That is why, so we can safely say that this search restriction will be applicable for the employees only, right? And when this search restriction will come into picture, when those employees will make a query on the customer item type, right? On the customer item type. So this is the restricted type we have defined over here. Here I am saying, of course, this search restriction should be active, right? And then here, guys, what we are saying, what is the query that needs to be appended? So here I am saying, if the employee is making a query, select star from, right, select star from customer, then it will be basically saying where UID is this, right? So let's change this. Firstly, we will try to search some customer, right? So I am just trying to search some customer. Maybe there can be the multiple customer. Let's try to search this only, right? So you can see here we have this as a UID, right? So I will just change this value, right? So before creating this restriction, guys, and always remember these such restrictions are never validated or never applicable for the admin users, right? So we need to take care of this thing. So before that, I will just create one employee again. So this is the say one employee I have already created, right? So this is the employee I have already created. So I will just open this employee again, right? My test customer, and then I will just make a flexible search. So I'm going to console flexible search, and here instead of the user admin, I'm just changing my user, my test customer, and then I'm making a query select star from customer, right? Select star from customer, and I'm clicking on the execute button. You can see it has given me all these results, right? And what the query it has made in the backend, select star from users. Now we will create our search restriction, and here in this search restriction, what I am saying, that this search restriction will be applicable for all the users having the employee group. So if we see our user, in the back office, that user will also have basically the employee group. So I'm just trying to search our user or our employee which we had created, right? My test customer, and you will see that it has the user group, test user group. We will add one employee group as well with it. So you can see we have added this employee group as well, right? And then guys, what we will do, we will fire this search restriction. I am firing this search restriction now, right? And then, so I'm just going to console impex import, and then I will just do the validate content. So you can see I have done the validate content, then I'm doing this impex import, and you can see in the backend this import is successful. So that is over here, evident over here as well. If we just try to make a console flexible search, if we just make a query again, right, with with our user group my test customer. So I'm just using this user in our session, and now if I make a query select star from customer, right, because we had created the search restriction on the customer item type only, that's why I'm just making a query select star from customer, right, select star from customer. And you can see guys in the backend what it has done, it has appended this and condition automatically, right? So that is the use of search restriction. So here we are basically restricting the access of users, right? So that is how we can do the user restrictions or in hybrid system, that user can be either employee or it can be customer. So I hope guys this concept is clear to you, how we can do the user restrictions in Hybris, right? So it is basically to limit the results. If we don't want to show all the results to a particular type of user. For example, we created this new user, right? We created this new user and I don't want to show all the results to this user, right, because of xyz reason. So this is the way we can create some search restriction. So it means if this user makes a query from anywhere, maybe from the HCC or from the back office or from any other system, this basically search restriction or this where clause will get appended automatically, right? But this search restriction never work on the admin group. We need to take care of this thing, right? In the similar way, you can see I have created this another search restriction here. What I am doing, this is the UID of this search restriction, right? And this search restriction is again applicable for the users, right, with the user group having user group employee group, and the search restriction will be applicable on the customer item type. And this is the restriction we are applying, right? This is the restriction we are applying. If we just see guys this restriction which we have created just now, you will be able to see this search restriction in the backend as well. You can just see how this restriction is looking like. So I'm just trying to see this newly created search restriction which we have created. So you can see this is how it is looking, right? So guys, I hope this concept is clear to you, how the search restriction works on the users. Then guys, how we can disable this search restriction? So there are two ways to disable a search restriction guys. One way is if we have to disable a particular search restriction, what we can do, we can just go to the back office, we can open the search restriction, right, and a particular search restriction which we want to disable, and then we just have to make its active value as false. So then this search restriction will stop working. For example, I have just now deactivated it, and if I fire the query now, you will see that this and condition will get removed automatically. So I am just making query, and you can see now this and condition has been removed, and we are now getting all the results. So I hope guys this is clear to you. But guys, you might get a condition or might get a requirement that you want to disable all type of search restrictions in your system. So how you can enable or disable the search restriction, I have given you the script in the notes of this video. So you can just download it and see how we can enable or disable all the search restrictions present in our system, whether in a particular session in our code or through the bean cell or groovy script. And guys, we will encounter one more situation very frequently. Like if I have one, say one employee, right? I have one employee, and for example, this is the employee, and this employee has multiple user groups, right? So I need to make a query, right, for a particular user or for X number of users, which all are the groups associated with it. So I can give you one flexi query. Through that query you can simply see which all user groups are associated with it. I have given that query in the notes of this video, so you can just see how we can create that query for finding the all user groups associated with a particular user, whether it can be employee or it can be a customer, right? Then guys, in the end part of this video, we are now going to discuss a very important topic, how we can define user roles, right? So how we can define different type of user roles. For example, guys, if I have a requirement, just listen this very carefully. If I have a requirement that I have now created this employee, right? So this employee I have created, but I want that this employee should not be able to perform all activities. I want to restrict the access, or I want to give this employee a particular role. For example, this employee, right, can access the customer, right, but it can just only view this item type, right? It can just view this item type, it can just see this. Currently you can see I am able to edit as well, right? And I have the capacity to delete as well. But I want give the role to this newly created employee, as that it can just only view this item type. It is not able to do any changes in these item types. It cannot do the changes at attribute level, or it cannot do the changes at the or it cannot even delete this item type as well. So how we can do that? So there comes the picture of user group roles, right? So we are going to discuss this important topic now. So guys, now our topic is customer user rights or permissions, right? And I hope guys you will be able to differentiate between permissions and restrictions we have already discussed, and now we are going to discuss the rights or permissions, right? And after this topic you will be able to differentiate the difference between a restriction or a permission, right? So here we will be empowering some permissions to the specific user groups, right? So in SAP Hybris, right? So before that, guys, there is one thing which we need to take care of, that there are some system accounts which cannot be modified or deleted, right? There are some system accounts which cannot be modified or deleted, right? Which all are those accounts? In the employees, we have the admin account, right? In the employees we have the admin account. If I go to the employees and if I just drive to the admin, this is the admin account. So this is the system account. This cannot be deleted. If you try to delete it, you will not be able to delete it. So in the similar way, in the customer we have anonymous, right? In the customers we will have this anonymous account. This cannot be deleted. In the similar way, user groups, we have the admin group, right? This is also the system account which cannot be deleted. So just see this concept. This is very important thing, right? Now how we manage the user rights or permissions in Hybris. So we manage the user rights or permission in Hybris using the impex extension, right? So through impex extension only, we are allowed to, or this impex extension basically impex extension allows us to modify access rights for users and user groups, right? We have already discussed the situation where we need to give some specific permissions to some specific users. So we have already discussed that part. So now guys, I am just giving you one code snippet, right? So through that snippet I will show you how we can give some specific access rights to some specific users or some specific user groups, right? So guys, this looks like something like this. So you can see this is the basically this is firstly, this is not a impex, but we will be basically using the impex extension only to import this script, right? So through this script, what I am going to do guys, here I am writing this is the type, right? So first part, this when you are mentioning this start user right part, this statement basically indicate that every line till the part end user right. So this statement is not an impact. So if these two lines basically indicate that whatever the content written inside these two lines, this is not an impacts, although we will use the impacts extension only to import this or to import this script, right? But actually these are not the impacts. Is if these two lines are written, it means these statements are directed or redirected to the user right management, right? So we need to take care of this. So it means, so if these two lines are written, so whatever the content written inside or in between these two lines will be redirected to the user right management. So I hope the meaning of this first line is clear to you, why we have written in this. Then this second line is called as the header, right? So here we are defining multiple attributes. Here I am saying type. What is that type on which we are for which we are going to run this script, right? Then what is the UID, right? So if I am saying type is user group, right? Then for which user group UID, for example, this is the UID, right? What we can do, we can use our user group which we had created. So our user group was this user group, right? Test user group. So I can give this test user group over here, right? And then of course this user group, we already know this test user group is a member of employee group, right? We had seen, if we just go to the employee and sorry, in the user group, and if we just search test user group, you can see this is the test user group which is a member of employee group. That is why we have written over here employee group, right? So I hope you understand the meaning of second line. So this is the header. Here we have defined the multiple attributes. Some of the attribute value might not be given, but these attributes needs to be specified even its values are not written, right? So this part should be clear to you. Here we have written multiple attributes, right? Then this third line basically indicate that the type is user group, and where we for which we need to basically run this script, and for which user group, test user group, right? And it is a member of which user group, this is a member of employee group, right? Then this fourth line basically indicate that in the fourth line basically we are setting the permissions for this test user group, right? So in this fourth line we are setting the permissions for the test user group. If there is some plus, it means we are providing that access right. If it is a minus, it means we are not providing access right. What is this plus minus means? Here you can see we have the multiple attributes for the target. Just carefully see, here I am saying target is product read plus. It means for this user group I am saying this test user group, if there is any employee which is having this test user group, he will be able to read the content or attributes mentioned in the product item type. That's why it's plus written over here. Then next is change. Change means whether he will be able to change the value of those attributes or not, attributes of the product item type or not. If it is plus, then yes, he will be able to change. Similarly for the create, whether he can create a new product item type or not. If it is plus, then he can create. How we can create? Because there is a plus icon. If I just go to the product item type, you can see I am going to the product item type. So this is the product item type, right? If we open any data in the product item type, right, so you can see this is the option to create new. So here we are allowing this. So what we will do, we will just do this as a minus, right? We will do this, okay. And then what is the next? Delete. So here I am saying yes, it can be, we are able to give, we are giving its permission to delete as well, right? So we will do this as a minus as well, so that this, any employee having this user group, any employee having test user group, right, he will not be able to delete the product item type. So this is basically for the changing permission. We are not allowing this user group to change any permissions. So I hope guys you are clear about the first line, second header line. Third one is basically we are declaring the user group on which we want to run the script. Fourth one is we are giving the permissions, different type of permissions for the read, change, create, delete. And I always remember with this sequence only: read, change, create, delete. So first one is read, change, create, delete, and then last one is change permission. And here when you write the end permission, it means this end user right, it means this script is now finished, right? So this is the one sample example. So guys, now we will basically cover three important scenarios related to the user rights management. So one scenario will be where we will be giving users some rights or permissions to read, change, create, delete, right? For a particular item type, maybe we can take the example of order item type. Okay, we will just take the example of order item time. So it means that user will have a access to only the order item type, right? But he will not be able to, you know, read, change, create, or delete any other item type. So he will have permission or access to order item type. Second will be related to giving user rights or permissions related to particular attribute in an item type, right? So what we will do, for example, in the order item type, we will restrict that user that he will not be able to change a particular attribute in the order item type. That thing we will do, right? Third will be we will give permission to a particular user to read, change, create, or delete all item types. So these are the three scenarios which basically covers all the aspects of user rights management. Okay, so for that we will do everything from the scratch. What we will do, firstly, we will create one user group firstly. So what I will do, I will just create one user group. I will just keep its name as, say, Hybris Tube user group. I will just give its name as Hybris Tube user group. Okay, so that will be basically a member of employee group. So I'm going to create a new user group, Hybris Tube user group. So for that, what I will do, I will open the HSC. So you can see I am going to the impex section. I am going to console impex import, and I am just running this impex, right? So you can see this is the impex I am going to run. So this is the validate content. It is successful. Then I'm going to import the content, and then you will find that we will have one user group with this name, Hybris Tube user group, which is basically a member of employee group, right? So if I go to the back office and if I log in with my credentials, username is admin and password is nimda, and if I see that whether this newly created user group is there in our system or not. So I'm just logging with my credentials, username is admin and password is nimda. Okay, so what I will do, I will just go to the user module and then I will just go to user group and we will see whether this new user group which we have created, this has been created or not. So I have just copied it, Hybris Tube user group, right? And then we will see whether this has been created or not. Right, so I'm just trying to search this Hybris Tube user group and you can see this user group has been now created, and this user group is a member of employee group. As you can see over here as well, this is a member of employee group. Right, now what we will do, we will create one new employee and will assign this Hybris Tube user group with that employee. So how we will do, I will just copy this user group name, right, and I will just create one employee. So I'm just going to create one employee name. I will just write Hybris Tube employee. I will give its name this. Uh, this is the UID. Now I'm giving the name, right? So this is the description basically. So description is also same. And then third one is the name. So name is Hybris Tube employee name. Hybris Tube employee name. Okay, and this belongs to which user group? The new group which we had created, right? So that is the basically the impex to create a new employee. So I'm just going copying this impex and I will just paste this impex right in the HSE so that new employee can be created. So I'm going to HSE and then I'm going to console impex import and I'm just pasting this impex, right? So I had done some customization, right, for one of my requirement. That is why I have to add this new attribute. But since you have not done this customization, you can just skip this. But in the employee item type, I have given this custom attribute as a mandatory attribute. That's why I have to declare it. Okay, so I'm just validate content. But in case this attribute is not present in your employee item type, you can just skip this. Okay, so I'm doing the import and then you will see that this new employee would have been created in our system, right? And but we have not declared its password, right? So so this password will be basically the default password it would have taken. Okay, so what we would do, we would basically pick the default password macro as well. So I'm just copying this and I will paste over there so that I can just run this impex again. So here is the impex. So I'm just pasting over here and I will write over here custom attribute 1. Okay, and then here I will just write something like this test, right? And as I already said, if this attribute is not present in your system, you can just skip this part. So I'm just copying this and I will just directly run this impex, right? And then we will log in with this Hybris Tube employee and 123 is the password. I will log in with these credentials. So quickly in the meanwhile, what I will do in the incognito window, I will open the back office, right? So that we can do our tests. So back office is opened and I will log in with my credentials. The credentials are, this is the Hybris Tube employee. Okay, so this is the Hybris Tube employee, and then this is the password 1234. Okay, so we are going to cover the first part, right? So first part is where we will give we will give this user permission to view a particular item type. That part we are going to cover now. But before giving, so see, currently we have not given any permissions to this user group. So before giving any permissions, you will see that this user group, right, because this employee is basically inheriting this user group. So whatever the access rights or permissions this user group has, this user will automatically inherit, right? And this user group is a member of employee group. So whatever the permissions employee group has, so this user group or this user will automatically inherit. So what I will do, so I will just log in with this Hybris Tube employee and password as 1234, and we will see how our system is looking like. So I'm just logging with these credentials. Username is Hybris Tube employee and password is 1234. And we will see that we will not have access to all the item types, right? Because I have not given any permissions, separate permissions for this user till now. For example, if I just try to see the order, right, you can see all the navigation nodes are disabled currently. I don't have any permissions to view these. You can see I don't have any permissions, right? I'm not able to see the consignment as well. Even if I open any other, for example, if I open the base commerce, you can see I'm not even able to open the base commerce as well. So it means this user have basically used the user group, newly created user group, Hybris Tube user group, and Hybris Tube user group is only a member of employee group. We have not given any separate user rights, user group rights to this user group. That is why we are not able to access many navigation nodes in the back office. But now what I will do as a part of the first point, what I will do, I will give some permissions to this user. Now I will give some permission to this user or indirectly to this user group, so that once I will give some permission to this user group, this employee will also start getting those permissions. So what I will do, I will enable or empower this user group to view the order item type. So currently you can see it is not able to click over here, but now I will give some permissions to this user. So how we will do, so for that we will do some changes over here only. So instead of this product, what I will do, I will just write over here order. I will just skip this portion for now, and here I am just keeping this plus for read, change, create, delete, and change permission. I'm just keeping this as a plus only. Okay, and then I will just run this script. So instead of this user group, I have to use my own user group which I have created. So this is the user group, right, I have created. So I'm just copying it, and then I will just paste over here, and I will run this script. Don't worry about this script, I have already given you this script in the notes of this video. So you just have to copy or download the notes which I have given, and I have uploaded those notes in the Google Drive. Okay, so now I'm going to run this script. Just remember, this is not an impex, this is a script, right? So now I am going, what I am doing, I am basically now running this script. And guys, I'm just doing the validate content. You can see I am just doing the validate content. Before importing this script, I just want to show you one more thing. If I just open this user group, right, if I just open this user group, just remember, through this window, I'm logging with the admin credentials, but in the incognito window, I'm logging with my own user. Okay, so that's why in this window, I'm able to see everything. Okay, so I am just going to user group, and this is the new user group I have created. And guys, here you can see, you can check the permissions, which all permissions this user group has. Currently it doesn't have any permissions, as you can see over here. Now I will just import this impex, right? And what this impex is saying, that for this user group, Hybris Tube user group, it will be able to view the order item type, it will be able to change the order item type, it will be able to create a new order item type, and it can delete the existing row in the order item type. So I'm just importing this impex, and then you will see the magic. So once this import is successful, guys, over here you will see that it will have some permissions against this user group. So you can see import is successful. Now what we will do, we will just refresh this. I'm just refreshing this, and then we will see the permission. So you can see now it has a permissions to view the order item type, right? So what we will do to test this functionality, what we will do, guys, now I will just copy the name of our employee. So this is the employee, right? And I will just log out. I'm now going to the incognito window. I will log out and will try to log in again. So you can see I am just trying to log in again. 1234 is the password, and then I am just trying to log in. Now you will see that this user will have access to order item type, right? So because previously it doesn't have access, now you will see that this user has access to order item type. It still doesn't have access to other navigation nodes, but now it has access to order item type. So I hope guys this is clear to you how you can give a permission to a specific user, right, for a particular item type, right? That is given basically through the user group. We need to give some permissions to a particular user group. So you can see we are able to create a new order as well, right? I am able to see the attributes inside this order item type as well, right? You can see I am able to do the changes as well, right? And even I have the capacity to delete as well. I have the capacity to delete a particular order as well. So I hope guys this part is clear to you. Now the second part is also very important, that I want this restrictions to be limited to a particular attribute level. So for example guys, my requirement is I have now, access to order item type, full access to order item type, right? Because of this script I used. And just remember one more thing, if we need to give permissions to other item type as well, maybe like you want the permissions for maybe for like, currently see if I go to incognito window, it has access only for the orders, right? It doesn't have access to order entry, it doesn't have access to consignment. If you want access to consignment as well, what you can do, you can just add something like this. You can just add something like this. Instead of order, I can just write over here order consignment. Now it will have access to order as well as the consignment item type, right? So I hope this is clear to you how you can give. But if I want to, give attribute level permissions means, currently you can see this user is able to do, yeah, this user is able to do everything, right? It can change the order number as well. But what I want this user, when you log in to the back office through this user, right, you should not be able to change the order number. You should not be able to change the order number, but you can change the other parameters. You can change the description, right? You can change the description, but you should not be able to change the order number. So how I can do this attribute level permissions for this particular user? Of course I will give permissions at the user group level. So because this user means this user is basically Hybris Tube employee, user is basically inheriting Hybris Tube user group. So if I give this permission to user group level, automatically employee will also inherit those permissions. So now I am going to restrict these permissions at the attribute level. So how I can do that? So for that guys, what I will just copy this again, okay, and then I will paste here. And what was my requirement? I want this order number means if I hover over here, it is code, right? I want this to be read only. So how you can do, I will just write over here order dot code. Okay, so this should be read only. So I can read this, of course I can read this, but I cannot change this. So I will keep this as a minus. I cannot create this, I will keep this as a minus. Delete, yes I can delete, I cannot delete it, that's why minus. And change permission is also minus. Okay, so now I will run this script, and then you will see that this user means Hybris Tube employee user will not be able to change the order number, right? It will not be able to change the order number because of this script. So what I will do, I will just quickly go to the HSE and will run this script. So you can see now I am just going to click on the validate content, and then I will click on the import content, right? And once the script is imported, you will see that this user will be basically inheriting the new new permissions. I will just go to the incognito window, I will log out it, and then I will log in again. Log in with this user Hybris Tube employee, and then like this Hybris Tube employee, and the password is 1234 right? So you can see now it is getting logged. And then if we open the order item type, guys, you can see I am just opening the order item type, right? And then you will see that, guys, now you can see this order number field is non-editable field, right? So I hope, guys, now you understand how you can give permissions at attribute level. So you can see still you are able to do changes at other parameters, but you are not able to do changes on the order number. So that is how you can give the permissions at attribute level, right? So I hope, guys, this second requirement is clear to you, right? Third requirement is that we need to give permission to a particular user, right, for all item types. Currently you can see this user is able to see only the order item type, not any other item type. But if you have a requirement that you want to, create a user, who will be able to view, read, change, delete all the item type, how you can do. So that concept I have given in the notes of this video. So you can just download those notes and can see how I can do. In the similar way, you can create a full read only user as well, which can just view all the item types. He will have a permission to view all the item types. Currently you can see this user doesn't have even permissions to view any item type, right? We can create a read only user who will have a permissions to view all the item types, but he will not be able to change it. So that is basically a read only user. So these two parts I have given in the notes of this video. So you can just download it and can see how you can implement these two requirements as well. But I hope, guys, this video was informative for you. I have tried to cover all the aspects of the user access management. So now the last part is I have already explained you all the aspects of the user management, how you can give different roles, right? How you can create a user group, how you can, give different roles to a particular user so that those roles can be inherited if you give those roles to a particular user group, so that how you can inherit those roles at user level as well. So I have explained you, but where we basically use these scripts, right, where we basically put these scripts in our code. So these scripts basically you put in some impex file. For example, guys, if I just show you one example, so this is the training code, my custom extension. Here I have this product cockpit access rights dot impex. Here you can see this is the script we have created, right? In the similar way, you can also put your script over here, something like this. You can also put your script at this place. So this is the place where you have to put your script. Then you can just see at what place this script is lying, and based on that you can perform the system update, whether you need to perform create essential data or create project data. Yeah, that you can select based on core system setup file, right? So I hope, guys, now you have all the information I have given you, how we can, create a new customer, how we can create a new employee, how we can create a new custom user group, right? Even I have given you the hierarchy of user, which includes employees and customer. I have given the hierarchy of user group as well. And then finally we discuss the user restrictions, right? And in the end part of the video, we basically discussed how we can give, user group management, right? User group rights management, how we can do. So I hope these all topics are clear to you. You should be clear what is the difference between the user restrictions and user access management. In the user restrictions, we are basically restricting the user with some data, right? We are restricting the access of some data to a user. In the user access management, we are enabling the users to view some data, right? We are giving some access rights to a user through the user group concept, right? So that user can view some data from our system, right? So that is basically the difference. So guys, I hope this video was informative for you, and guys, if you like this video, do share this video with your friends. Thank you for watching. Bye.